What up, Chicago? What the deal be? I hope everybody's doing well. Getting into the chat. We're just starting the stream up. Getting things together for our latest show. Me and Cam Hawkins hanging out. All right, chat, we're almost in. Thank you so much for joining us here on X, YouTube, and on Twitch. Hope you're doing well. We're going to get into it in a couple of seconds. Vibing out. I think everything is working. Hooray! You're moving on with your life, but don't you think if you have a doubt that there are still things to find out? Is that a risk that you're willing to take? All right, everybody. Oh! All right, let's do a podcast, shall we? All right.
Spawnomy is the premier podcast spotlighting people of color. Every week, we talk news, what we've been playing, and tell you who's invited to the cookout. Our show is all about talking about gaming through a prism of blackness, because we are the culture. Welcome to Chicago, y'all.
Yo, what up, everybody? This is the Spawnomy podcast with Khalif Adams. I'm your host, Khalif Adams. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a wonderful end of May and beginning into June. It is almost Summer Game Fest time. Next week, we'll be out there covering the show, making it happen for all the dope folks out there in the world. And we have a very good show for you all today. Today is a momentous occasion. We have not only State of Play that happened today from our friends over at Sony and PlayStation, but also Donald Trump got convicted. Yeah, I love it. It's so great. That man going to jail. No, he's not going to jail, but I'm happy that he got convicted on 34. How many? Charles Oakley, 34 counts of terribleness and everything else in the world. All that to say, I'm happy to be here, rocking with you all here on twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe, youtube.com/SpawnOnMe, and on @KhalifAdams on X, getting it in for everybody at home for our wonderful show here. It has been a couple of weeks since we had the last episode. It's just been, again, busy with knocking things out, getting ready for Summer Game Fest and all those things together. And there is no one else who I would rather have on to talk about all the stuff that's potentially coming up at Summer Games Fest and talking about State of Play. We have the fam, Cam Hawkins, coming in from here. Here we go. What up, Cam? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna move over here a little bit this way.
Your booty. You scoot now. And
there we go.
Scoot you back for the camera for the other shot.
Yeah,
so
we got
careful.
it. Okay.
So I may have to scoot you again, or you may have to just scoot again when we get to the next show. Anyway, how are you doing, fam? How's everything going?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for SGF next week. We're going to meet up. We have some real packed schedules to see a whole bunch of things, and I'm excited to talk about it all with you.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover in our show this week. It has been really, really fun to continue to see all the work you've been doing and continue to see that we're going to do some collaborative stuff at Summer Games Fest. It's going to be dope for us to be able to cover the show together. And to be able to get some of our friends and industry fam together to do some cool stuff during next week. So we'll have a lot of coverage from the show floor. We'll have some wrap-up stuff for everybody as well after everything is said and done. And it's going to be great. We haven't had a chance to do a collab in this way. So it'll be super dope to be able to do our first show together with you rocking underneath the Spawn on Me banner, doing some dope stuff with me there. So very excited for all of that. I want to get into State of Play. I just want to roll into it. I think, it is the show that we just finished watching together. Had a lot of thoughts about pieces of the show. We're going to run some footage of what we got the chance to see. And I'm just really excited for everything that we got a chance to check out during State of Play this year, or as to say today. So it was really cool to see Concord open up the show. I will say early, full transparency, I worked on this game for a little bit over a year on the community manager side, so I got a chance to see a ton of all of this firsthand before we got to this moment where you're seeing this beautifully shot fantastic trailer that we got a chance to see during the show. So I may not say everything that I'm thinking about Concord, because I think it's really because there's just secrets in there that I know. But Cam, I want to get your thoughts on, Concord as kind of the opener of the show. It was a game that we got a chance to hear about in a really quick snippet of a trailer. And now we're getting to see more of the characters, more of the world, all that stuff. So what are your thoughts about what you got a chance to see around Concord?
Yeah, I think the thing that interested me the most in seeing how that's going to play out, because it does feel like something that we haven't really seen before in a live service game like this, is how they're going to progress the characters and the story of Concord, and how they're going to have these weekly animation, CGI cutscenes to evolve these characters over time, and how that is going to differentiate itself, not differentiate itself, but how it's going to connect to the gameplay of it all, because this is a 5v5 shooter. It does have Overwatch vibes to it, right? As people who regularly play Overwatch, I definitely got a lot of those kind of vibes to it. But yeah, I just want to see is the gameplay that we're going to be playing as, like the missions that we're going to be doing, are they going to correlate with the characters that we're seeing? Because that is, I feel like, what we're kind of missing from Overwatch, right? Is that we do have these diverse characters, but we don't have the story elements in the game that, especially, which we'll talk about later in the show, how they like have canceled the PvE aspects of Overwatch 2. Like, how is that going to go into play here? Because Overwatch was something that was beloved despite that lack of story with like how diverse and like how personalized those characters were, and we get to see a glimpse of that in this trailer. And so I want to see if this is going to be able to differentiate itself from Overwatch in a way to make it stand out, because I feel like we are starting to finally see a lot of different games trying to do their own take on the kind of formula that Overwatch and, you know, you could argue Team Fortress has done over the years. And yeah, I enjoyed what I saw. I am interested in checking it out, of course. So really at this point, it is a wait and see, get hands on with the game, see how they're structuring this, and how that's going to go, like the long-term future of Concord. I think that's really like gonna be that is what's going to what I need to see in the long run, to see if this is like something that they're really cooking with, or if this is a kind of failed experiment, I guess is the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff in the mix for Concord. You know, again, this is Firewalk's first game. This is one of Sony's first new live service games as well in the mix. It has a lot of connection to, and I'm seeing already a lot of comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy, which there's a lot of that kind of ragtag crew layers of some of that stuff that you're automatically going to get connected to an IP like this. And I really do. The thing I'm the most excited about, and the thing I was most excited about when working on this, was hearing about the pieces of the story and the episodic kind of content that you're going to see week to week that's going to come across. I am also very curious to see not only how those three pieces are going to come together, how they kind of potentially connect all those characters together in a story, like you said. And then what does that mean for the player every week, right? Where you're coming into a world that you're going to potentially be invested in. And also, how does this kind of build affinity towards characters? I think one of the things that you're always trying to figure out in any big game like this, where you have a multitude of characters that are very, very different in personality and all those things, is what does that mean for the synergy of not only gameplay, but the synergy of kind of seeing how those characters grow together. And I'm really just hyped for them. Like, again, getting a chance to work on a game like this, even if it was for a very short time, was very cool to be able to see, all of these things kind of work together in the ways that we're seeing kind of come to fruition now. And really dope to be able to see that this is going to drop in August. This is literally, May, June, July, August. We're basically 2 months out from this game being live and being playable in a big way. Like, this game is going to actually be out in the world, which I'm very excited for. So yeah, I think, shout out to the team over Firewalk for making such a dope trailer to kind of showcase the game in the world, and it looks gorgeous. I'm very excited to see how this is going to play, knowing what I got a chance to play in early development and see where they've landed with a lot of the stuff. But I'm just really happy for that team, because there's so many good, really smart, really fun folks who are working on this. And I hope that they all get the win that they deserve, because this game is really fucking dope for folks who are going to get a chance to check it out and play it. So very excited for that. Let me run down a list. Actually, we're not gonna sync up the footage with the list, but I do want to go over everything that we got a chance to see in the show, right? And then you tell me your thoughts about what was really the thing that kind of pulled you in and was like, oh yeah, that's super dope. So Concord, we got a chance to see its debut in terms of gameplay. Ragnarok, God of War is going to be coming to PC. Dynasty Warriors comes through with Dynasty Warriors 10. Until Dawn is going to be coming to PC in the fall. Astrobot got a trailer as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. That Astrobot got a trailer coming back. I think a lot of folks were hoping to see the VR version of this, but we got basically a Astrobot platformer out of this. And let's see what else got talked about. There were a couple other games in there. There was the PSVR 2 Aliens game that got shown. That looked really dope. Infinite Nikkei got a trailer, which was a game that I hadn't really paid attention to or really knew about. Ballad of Antara is going to be coming out in 2025. Behemoth is a PSVR 2 game developed from the folks from The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, who have a pretty good pedigree in that respect. Marvel's Rivals, which I know we are both really, really excited for, is confirmed for PS5 with the July Bet and Scarlet Skin. That's going to be console exclusive. Where Winds Meet is another Souls-like combat game, which I think I'm kind of tapped out on Souls-like games right now. With
Yes.
stuff to be coming out. Actually, Path of Exile 2 looked really, really good. Folks who are on the Diablo train, I'm a big fan of both, so that got a debut trailer too. Silent Hill 2 remake was in there, and Monster Hunter Wilds got some gameplay trailer stuff in the mix too. So, Cam, of all that stuff that was in there, what was the stuff that you were like, this is the thing that has me the most excited?
Yeah, I mean, like while it's on the screen, let's talk about Astrobot for a second, because I feel like we were talking about it during the actual presentation. Like, you're not super crazy about Astrobot, and I liked Astrobot's Playroom quite a bit. I was like surprised by how much I liked it. It was a nice like tech demo type game showing off the technology of the DualSense and the PS5 unique mechanics of all that, and I really enjoyed it. And I know that a lot of people will like ride or die that Astrobot Rescue Mission is like one of the best VR games ever made and like a really, really great game. And I think that those people also really wished that this was also going to be a VR game, that it was going to just be like kind of a sequel to that.
Yep.
But people seem to still be excited that in general that this is coming. And I do think that making it a PS5 game was the right move, because the PSVR 2 isn't doing super great, and it feels kind of like a PlayStation Vita situation where it's not really getting the first party support that it needs to succeed, and and that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, and so I'm excited. That's definitely a first party PlayStation game that I definitely see myself playing. Will I play it day one? I'm not sure, but I will definitely want to check that out because I did enjoy Astro's Playroom. I also, we were talking about Marvel Rivals. They recently just did the alpha, and now they announced that it's coming to PS5, and I believe beta in July or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. Like I didn't get the chance to play during the alpha, and I really wanted to. And everyone that not everyone, but a lot of people that did play Marvel Rivals had a really good time with it, and I'm very curious to check it out and get my own hands on it as someone who like plays Overwatch daily.
Mm-hmm.
I love Overwatch, and I love Marvel, so this is kind of like best of both worlds. And so I'm looking forward to that. Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm excited about. I really like Monster Hunter a lot. I played a lot of Monster Hunter World. I played a lot of Monster Hunter Rise. I didn't get to play either of their expansions yet, and I really want to. It's just like that game does take a lot of your time. Like the hunts can be timely, and like it's a lot of grinding to get the gear that you need to defeat like the tougher monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just haven't taken the time to do that. But Monster Hunter Wilds looks like it is taking the best stuff of Monster Hunter World and Rise and putting it together, and then they've added like like weather effects and stuff, like the sandstorm that we saw in the trailer. I thought was really, really cool, and I'm very curious to seeing how that turns out. And so that's really exciting. It's going to be more Monster Hunter, and I think that's just what Monster Hunter fans want. So yeah, I think those are probably the big ones that stuck to me. Infinite Nikki like looks interesting. Infinity Nikki looks interesting. I know nothing about what that that was just a trailer.
Yeah.
That was just like a trailer of stuff. But I'm just like, okay, I'm curious to what this is. But yeah, those were the big ones. Everything else really didn't grab me. I feel like we saw a lot of games that kind of looked similar and didn't differentiate itself from each other, and so those didn't really grab me. And there were some games that I was hoping that would be at this state of play that wasn't, like Lost Soul Aside, which has been a long running game that has been getting developed with the help of Sony and PlayStation, that is now being first party published. And I was hoping that would come up during the state of play, but it hasn't. So who knows if we're going to get that later during SGF, or if we're going to get that at a later state of play. But yeah, overall, like I think that this state of play was like, it was all right.
It was okay.
I wasn't. Yeah.
I think the thing that I come away from these states of play, and overall, like even other gaming kind of showcases like this, is it feels like we just have too many games in a not differentiating way. Like Ballad of Antara is a Souls-like game, but it looks exactly like every other Souls-like game, and I think that's a problem of that genre right now. Where I'm super excited for Erdtree and all that stuff for that, and I still have to finish Lords of the Fallen, and there's a couple other games in that space. But like, I want someone to come out with a Souls like in Liza P. Liza P was a different kind of aesthetic, but even then, it is still this overarching art direction that I would love to see somebody else have a different take on. Like, I think Souls-like games are really fun, and they're really interesting, and they challenge you and all this stuff in a lot of different ways. But like the visual aesthetic right now of the gruesome monster with the appendages and the slime and the stuff, like I kind of don't care about that version of those games anymore, and would love to see somebody do something different at this point, because I think we need it. Like, I think we need something else in that mix to kind of fix that conversation for everybody. So I'm hoping that we get something different in that space very soon. We're looking right now at some footage of the PSVR 2 games. I think that's also been, a big part of the conversation. We just saw Herman Hulst talk a little bit about their strategy around exclusivity, with them talking about live service games coming day and date, while kind of more narrative-based games coming out only on PlayStation hardware and console. So it's interesting to have that conversation happen, and then also have a showcase basically a day or so later, where you can see now what is coming down the pipe. And it was really interesting to see like not a lot of conversation happen around PSVR 2, which is something that we've all kind of worried, especially as a PSVR 2 owner. I'm happy about the Aliens game, because that looks cool. Aliens in VR is going to be funky and dope. And the other stuff looked pretty similar to what we would have an expectation for in games like that. The last question I wanted to, because you kind of gave the answer to, so what do you think about the full show? Is there anything in the mix that you wish that they had shown that they didn't, that you were like, man, that was a potential missed opportunity? I mean, you mentioned one game that you were like, man, I wish that game was in here. But like, is there anything else in that mix that you're like, I wish I had seen some stuff?
I just kind of, I think that for me, as someone who isn't particularly crazy about a lot of PlayStation first party stuff, like I don't think they're bad. I'm just not like, I just am not crazy about a lot of it. I wish that we got a little bit more of a timeline at like we know that PlayStation normally likes to do a I don't know, remember what they call it, like a PlayStation presentation where it's a little bit more in depth, right? Like that's where they announced Wolverine, and like that's where they announced like a lot of their really big temple titles. And I think that's what PlayStation needs right now. I think PlayStation needs a big event like that where we get like an idea of what the next year and a half of first party PlayStation looks like. Or like first party like / exclusive third party PlayStation looks like. Cuz right now, right, when we think about what these teams that are working on, like we just got Ragnarok, we just got Spider-Man 2, like you had Spider-Man 2 DLC coming. We recently got enough Last of Us 2 and the Last of Us like remake, and they're probably working on Last of Us 3 right now. And you know, we have there have been rumors on like what Santa Monica Studios is working on next, and like you know, there was the Insomniac leak and things like that. But I just, if I was a primary PlayStation player, I would not be excited about the future of PlayStation based off of that state of play. I need more. I need more of what should get me as someone who primarily plays on Xbox to want to use my PS5 more. And I don't think that this state of play was it. Like I literally like don't know the next time I'm going to whip out my PS5 to play a game that's only on PS5.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes a ton of sense. I think, you know, and while we're watching other footage of other stuff come across, it actually makes me go back to thinking about Concord, right? It was like, I kind of looking at the offerings that were in this show, it kind of made me wish that Concord had its own dedicated state of play just to do a super deep dive on it. It probably will.
It will. I think it will in July. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, I think as a person right now who is still, you know, and I said this when Stellar Blade came out, where I was like, if Stellar Blade is the big game for the year, you know, now knowing that Concord is going to be coming out in August, now they have at least 2 big games that I think are going to drive a lot of potential interest in the PlayStation platform. Then there isn't a lot of stuff, like you said, on the bone there that guys has me excited, because I didn't get a full like count of stuff that is going to be coming out this year, right? So like Concord was one, Rivals is probably coming out this year, I think. The Souls-like games kind of wash out each other because they'll basically be the same.
Yeah.
And everything else was like either VR or PS port, a PC port, for the most part. Like Dynasty Warriors, I've never cared about Dynasty Warriors.
Well, Silent Hill 2 is coming out October 8th. I do remember that.
True, but that's also
and
like
even
a
then
remake of an old game too.
Yeah, but Silent Hill 2, like that is one of the most beloved horror games of all time. Like 1,000%. I think that there is a audience that is probably incredibly excited about that, but also like I think they're incredibly hesitant because one, it's Bloober Team, and like nothing, like no, not trying to
No shade.
not trying to shade, but just like historically, a lot of their games have been middling for people, and so like I know that a lot of people that were excited for Silent Hill 2 did not think that Bloober Team was the right pick to do something like that. But based on what they showed, I thought it looked fine. But I don't know anything about Silent Hill 2 like that. I know like the narrative stuff and like why like it was as popular as it is, and why it blew up at the time that it did. But like I don't like from a gameplay standpoint, I'm like, is this going to be true to? Is this what fans thought of when you thought of a Silent Hill 2 remake? I don't know, because like with the Resident Evil remakes, I feel like all of those have like met the kind of idea that people had of those remakes. Even though like I haven't finished any of them, like I still like these are well-made games. And so yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to do. And yeah, I just want to be excited about, yeah, because like despite me liking to play my games on Xbox, like I still want PlayStation to succeed, and I want PlayStation, like again, I want reasons to be excited about the platform. And I just don't think that this state of play did that for me.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to end this part of the conversation around the state of play. I think again we still have some time before we see some other stuff. I know that we have some conversations that are going to be coming up at Summer Games Fest that might also give us some insight into some of those things there. I'm wondering if there's going to be some of the games that we saw in State of Play at Summer Game Fest now.
Yeah,
because some of those games are close in comparison to where the dates are for some of that stuff. So that's going to be really cool to see where we land in terms of everything that we got a chance to see and what Sony is going to have for the rest of the year. I think that has been one of the larger conversations that a lot of folks who have been, in the ecosystems for both teams have been wondering, and now we get a chance to ruminate more about what that's going to be for Sony going forward. Because, like you said, I want everybody to succeed. I'm hyped for everyone to get a win. And seeing Silent Hill on the screen just makes me excited because I love Silent Hill 2. And now it's just a matter of like, how much prettier did they make it? Graphically, how does it feel? Does it feel updated in terms of, the way that movement feels and all those kinds of things? Because I know it's going to look really, really pretty. Next up is a conversation that we saw a little bit around last week or the week before. Assassin's Creed has gotten shared in terms of Assassin's Creed Shadows being their newest game or their latest game coming out. And there was some controversy around Yasuke being one of the main characters in the game, a fabled black samurai who is a part of, some versions of lore in samurai samurai culture, samurai history. And Assassin's Creed is going to be using he and another character as their two main protagonists. And it was wild because as soon as this came out, the first conversation that everyone wound up throwing into the ether was Yasuke isn't a historical character. There are no black samurais. There were never black samurais. That wasn't the thing that happened. And there was this conversation about like, is Ubisoft being too woke and adding this character in deference to having a Japanese samurai be the main character in this game, while completely overlooking the fact that there is a Japanese ninja on the cover with Yasuke in this game. Did you get privy to any of these conversations, Cam, during the past couple of days? Past week?
I was privy to them. I didn't engage in them because they were fucking stupid. I just like I just can't deal with the stupidity discourse on Twitter. Like every once in a while, like I might say something, and like I did end up saying something just because like some people were making statements that like about like the historical like accuracies
Mhm.
of not even like that it was like uh that was Yasuke, but like but the kind of like historical events around it weren't accurate or whatever. And I was just like, this is Assassin's Creed. Like what are we talking about? Like none of this stuff has actually happened.
Right.
Like what like yeah. So like I mean, granted, like let me I will entertain this. Yasuke is like the first protagonist that is an actual historical person
Right.
that we are playing as, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, like Assassin's Creed is just fan fiction with historical elements.
Right.
That's what it is. It's like, hey, we're going to tell a fictional story using historical people.
Yep.
And the only difference now is that instead of playing as a original character interacting with Leonardo da Vinci, George Washington, you know, like you are playing as a historical character.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Why does it matter? It does not matter. You know, and like, and that's not even getting into the racial aspects of the whole conversation.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's just like, yeah, you wanted to play as a Japanese. You want, like, let's just be honest. Like, you wanted to play as a Japanese man that as a
Yes.
samurai. That's what these guys these people are saying.
Yes.
Play Ghost of Tsushima. Go play Ghost of Tsushima if that's really what you want. Like,
right.
and like, and even then, like, even in that like teaser trailer of Assassin's Creed Red, like it was known as Assassin's Creed Red for the longest time.
Yeah.
You could tell by the silhouette that was a woman.
Right.
And so it's just like, where was the discourse then? Like, you know what I mean? No, everyone's just like, finally, we're going to Japan, and now it's just like, oh, we're playing as a woman, not a man, and like, oh, we're playing, and like, oh yeah, they were. Oh, this was the craziest thing that I heard. They were saying like, oh, this isn't accurate because you're playing as a woman and you're fighting men. It's just like, just this is not real life. This is fiction. Like and like she's a ninja. Like you don't think that she's like taught things to like to stop like to like fight against people that are stronger than them? Like you don't think that, where was this discourse when you played as Cassandra in Odyssey? Like it's just such fake bullshit. It's fake outrage, and I'm tired of it. And that's why I just don't. I look at it,
Yeah.
and I just like, this is really stupid, and then I don't engage in it unless someone says something really just stupid. Like we're like there's like baseline stupid of like, oh, black samurai, oh, woman. Like it's like, okay, like it's dumb, and like but like that's expected. It's sadly it's a sad
Yeah.
expectation. But when you're saying things that are just so like ridiculous, about like, oh, you can't fight these men because you're a woman, it's just like, there's been three other female protagonists in Assassin's Creed before this one, and now it's a problem. No, that's stupid. Like it just,
It's mind-bogglingly dumb for all the reasons that you talked about. And also, like, the thing that always makes me laugh about so many of these conversations is when people care about historical accuracy. It is so all over the place in terms of what that means. Like the same people who will fight for historical accuracy in a game like Assassin's Creed will also fight things like critical race theory on the other opposite side of that conversation. Because one is trying to balance out conversations and give a much fuller description of actual historical things, and they will fight tooth and nail to say that this character doesn't fit this universe in a way that makes even less sense than the other thing that they have been talking about for the longest times in terms of conversations around diversity and inclusion, critical race theory, American history and race, all of the things that they don't have the ability to actually talk about in any real ways that have actual history behind them and actually things that matter moving forward. They fixate on these kinds of things in the version of their culture war that just makes no sense. It doesn't add anything to the conversation. And the thing that also comes across with a lot of these conversations, because again, you know, we've covered conversations around Gamergate and all this stuff before. The thing that always boggles my mind is that, okay, so you're gonna boycott this game and put it on a website and do all this other kind of dumb shit, and be like, all right, so now we have put this on our list of other games that are too woke for us to play. Totally fine. Don't play it.
Do you, fam?
Do you lose out? Like, the funniest thing about the idea around all of these conversations, and we're gonna pivot to our last story of the week, is at the end game. The end game is that you lose out on experiences that everybody else is going to be talking about and be having around the zeitgeist, and you just have to sit on the outside, knocking on the door, being mad about a thing that you didn't have to be mad about.
Like, and that's the reason why I just try not engage with this shit, because like the people that are outraged about this aren't going to convince other people that aren't outraged about this.
Right.
They're just saying it, and then other people that are outraged are also like, I agree. You're not going to convince anyone like this is wrong, this is stupid. Like, so at the end of the day, just shut up. Just like, because it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter how much you piss and moan about it, like, that's just how it is. Like, that this is just what the game industry is. Like, game industry are like a diverse folk of people.
Yep.
And so people are starting to tell stories featuring diverse characters, and like, yes, that still isn't the case in some regards, and like, we can always do better in that sense, but like, it's not a force type thing. Like, it's just more people with diverse backgrounds are joining this industry, and all industries for that matter. And so naturally, that is going to happen over time. It's not a forced representation. It's nothing like that. And so like, and here's the thing, like, even if I wasn't black, like if I personally was not a black person,
yep,
I think having Yasuke as the like one of the main protagonists is fucking fascinating. It's because cool, he is it's not even that it's cool. It is cool, but like, it's fascinating because like, yo, how does a black man exist during that time in Japan? Like, right? Like, how does I don't know if they're gonna go that in depth about it. Like, I would like them to, but like, yo, like, what happens when you're just walking the streets and you're the only black man? And like, are people, because they even kind of tease it here, well, like, this girl's like looking at him like, you're black. Yeah. Like, that's like the like, you're not like, you don't look like me.
Right.
And so like, and like, I want to see like that kind of like reaction from like NPCs and things like that. Like, this guy is different, and like, it's a weird thing. Like, I want to kind of see like this kind of certain level of potential like racism, but like, I want to know like what their kind of creative like ideas of having a historically, you know, black samurai in Japan would be like. Like, I want that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Simulation. I want that like kind of experience. I want to know what that's like, because it's educational.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, granted, they're not going to know the exact specifics, but I think that Ubisoft has proven that they have been really good about trying to be as historically accurate as they can, while still being able to want to tell the story that they are telling. And I just think that would be interesting. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see, and I like how they kind of split the characters, one being more upfront while the other being a more traditional assassin.
Yep.
and the reason why I feel about that is like, as someone who loves Assassin's Creed, I've played every entry outside of Liberation, and I would like to get to that. I really, really did not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah,
I know that's a hot take, but
sure.
I didn't like it as an Assassin's Creed game because I wasn't an assassin. I wasn't stealthing. I wasn't killing people and the way that I expect to in an Assassin's Creed game. It was more like Ubisoft's take on The Witcher, which is fine.
Yeah,
it's just I just didn't want it to be Assassin's Creed. And now I think that they heard that feedback and they're trying to appease both audiences, where it's like, hey, for those that like this experience in Odyssey, we have Yasuke. And then for those that like the more traditional stealth experience, we have this female character. I don't remember her name.
Nayo, something like that.
Okay.
Naoe. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Nao. Okay.
Nao.
And so like, and granted, you're gonna have to play as both characters progress through the story, but at least I get a part of that. I get a part of like that gameplay that I want, and then having the Yasuke, like, again, traditional combat as well. Because like, I mean, Valhalla was a little bit of that too. Like you did have your raids, right? You did have your upfront combat, which was really, really great. But then you could also still be stealthy. You could also still like kill people and stuff like that. And so they're splitting it off. I'm very curious as to how that's going to work narratively. Because it's not like Syndicate, where it's kind of like you can just switch between Jacob and Evie. This is like, no, both these characters are relevant to the story. They both have their own missions, it seems like. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for this. Like, ever since like Assassin's Creed 2, I was like, I want to go to Japan. This is rural Japan is what I want for an Assassin's Creed game. And yes, it took like 15 years, but we're finally here. And I'm super excited to see what Ubisoft has for us.
I have a couple of thoughts to what you shared. You shared that beautifully. I think the thing that I'm excited for is, we get a chance to go to feudal Japan for the first time in a real way. I'm excited for that. I do share a lot of your sentiments about, like, my worry about Assassin's Creed is less about who are the folks on the cover, and it's more about that intricacy of what I really loved Assassin's Creed for, right? Was that stealth gameplay, that feeling of like the espionage of this clan of assassins over the time frame of the world being reinvented and reimagined, and new people picking up the mantle of being a part of the Assassin's clan, while also fighting this malevolent underground syndicate of all of these people who are basically running the world. It was the thing that got me so excited about Assassin's Creed in the first place was that at its essence, at its core, it was an Illuminati story, right? It was a story around the Illuminati and, the ideas of what the Bilderbergs were, and this, these families and these, I can't remember the name of them, right? The Templars.
The Templars,
the Templars, and what does that mean for world domination in a ways that you can't see? Like, that is the thing that has always been at the crux of the Assassin's Creed stories. And we moved away from that a lot. And that
Sadly.
part I'm sad about, because we never really got a chance to dig into all of those pieces. And especially in that time where that was a thing where even the conversations in the outside world, the external world outside of the game, were butting up so much to that essence of that gameplay, where that was a major conspiracy theory conversation. But it's funny because now 10 years later, or 10 plus years later, all the conspiracy theory stuff that we saw that a lot of people kind of pushed off in terms of like, this isn't real. Like, if you are thinking about the Illuminati in a real way, you probably have a tinfoil hat and you probably need to go take a gummy or two. Where that is now actually come to fruition with MAGA and QAnon and all of those weirdo factions of conspiracy theorists. So we're losing some of those things in the mix. And I'm sad that we've lost those pieces because those were really important and interesting. Shout out to all the folks in the chat. Shout out to our friends over at Xbox Expansion Pass. Shout out to those folks. I was just on the show this week, so shout out to them. Another part of this is I want to find out what that history was. I learned more about Yasuke through all of these racists talking about how he wasn't an actual samurai than if I had actually spent time, doing the history lesson myself. So thank you, racists, for being dumbasses and giving me more things to learn about Black history in the world of Blackness around the globe, which was fantastic. But I'm with you. Like, learning that he was a slave who came into the Nobunaga era and was tapped to be, a samurai under that lineage and under that clan is fascinating stuff. Like, that is dope stuff to be able to dig into. The thing that is the most interesting about all of that is the pushback towards it is a bigger conversation around anti-Blackness than we can go into today. But I think it is at the foundation of all of these things when it comes to Black people having any historical value or having or relevance. It is a baseline of anti-Blackness that says you were only important during the slave trade and during your time in entertainment in America. Everything else around that, when you have these conversations, automatically gets thrown away from racists because they can't fathom that Black and brown people have been a huge part of the evolution of human history and have a much bigger foothold and foundation in all the things that we see that have become what we know they are to be now. It is this wanting to delete and to obscure and to belittle the accomplishments and the experiences of Black people throughout history that we see continuously happen, which I think is also a level of ignorance that we see in so many conversations around race, and especially around what we see in some of these groups that have bubbled up, where even folks who are Black and brown are ignorant of our own history and ignorant of the things that we've been able to accomplish. And they are really pushing back on visual representation in a way that is also just mind-bogglingly stupid. So those parts are the thing that I find to be really, really interesting and just like wild that that's become a thing. So I don't understand where that comes from besides self-hatred and other stuff in that space. Lastly, it is also, like you said, a really telling thing that the main protagonist, who is probably going to be the closest analog to what we've seen in every other game, is getting no love from the same people who are the hypest about Japanese culture and the folks who are the biggest about, like, why is this game not showcasing a Japanese character when she is absolutely a part of that lineage and she's making those moves happen in that game. And it'll be really cool to see where her story is. So all that to say, stop being racist. You don't have to be racist for everything that happens in the world that doesn't involve or see you. There's a big difference in saying, why is there no Japanese person on the cover? And saying, why is this Black person on the cover in comparison to what we could have had? There's a difference in that in a big way. And all the folks who made the face swap with Yasuke with George Floyd that happened during the past couple of weeks.
What?
Yeah. There was, because the whole conversation around, there's no black samurais and XYZ. If you want to talk about people who did something like, let's change the face out and make it George Floyd, which is pretty disgusting and gross. But again, it shows you the depths of people who are anti-Black and pretty racist. Before we end up the show, we have one last thing to dig into for this episode of Spawn on Me. And that last story is something near and dear to both of us, is the state of Overwatch 2. You talked a little bit about this earlier in the episode around Overwatch kind of losing its narrative PvE layers. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because we've been playing a bunch of Overwatch together of late, digging back into the game. What are your thoughts about the PvE going away and kind of the current state, especially knowing that Marvel Rivals is around the corner?
Yeah, like I love Overwatch. I have played Overwatch consistently since Overwatch 2 came out. Like
Mm.
I've completed every battle pass. We're going on season 11 I think next month, and
Okay.
I've completed all the battle passes. I've been there from the ground up, and like I just feel like Overwatch is in this really weird state and has been for a long time where it fixes something and then like shortly after that it does something to just like knock it back down.
Yeah.
And especially with all the stuff that's been happening with Xbox and like the studio closures, I don't think Blizzard's going to get shut down. They're too big. But
Mm.
I'm worried about the future of Overwatch. I am worried about if this game doesn't get the continued like players and things like that, that Microsoft will tell at Blizzard to end Overwatch. And
Mm.
Overwatch was such a huge thing when it came out, right? It was like it won a bunch of Game of the Year awards the year it came out. Again, it is basically the blueprint of the team shooter that we know today. Like obviously like Team Fortress kind of started that, but like Overwatch kind of evolutionized it in a way. And the big thing about Overwatch 2 was to justify it, right? Was, hey, we're going to do PvE, we're going to do story missions, like we're going to finally give it the story for these characters that deserve it, right? Because we were already so like attached to these characters just based off of their well done character designs, their backgrounds, their abilities. They were just so like realized characters in just their gameplay.
Mm.
Um and then of course we had like those shorts, right? They would release the cinematic shorts. But yeah, we finally got the PvE. We got like we were going to get like an actual story to everything that was going on. And then they ended up canceling it after the first one that they did. I think it was called Invasion.
Mm.
And that just like that was the moment where I was just like, this is bad. We're in trouble here.
Mm.
Um and it's interesting too because we have seen like Riot, right, do a show with our in Arcane, right, with League of Legends and like that universe. And it's like, why can't we do that with Overwatch? Why can't we get an Overwatch show, an animated show, giving us story, especially if we're not doing it through the game? And yes, they've done comics, they've done books, but like it, and I'm not even trying to like do a disservice or throw shade to like those mediums, but like it deserves a show, right? It
Yeah.
deserves to have like it makes so much sense. Especially with even, and again, even with like the lack of like dialogue throughout Overwatch, a S tier like stacked voice cast of
Mm.
like some of the best voice actors of our time. And like um and yeah, and just Overwatch has started to kind of build itself back up a little bit. They had the BlizzCon where they announced Mauna, who's been added to the game for a while now, and then teased a few future characters. Venture, who was just added this season, they're the first non-binary character in the game, and then there's going to be some like Space Ranger chick that's going to be added in the future too.
Mm.
And they've done things where they've added like a gauntlet mode, which they then remove. They said that they're stopping doing it because no one's really playing it. And like, so it in a way it's upsetting, but I'm also like happy about it because I'm just like, if no one's playing this, don't put your resources into it. Put your
Sure.
resources into something more, right? Like the people, like to the PvE or the PvP, like whether it's maps, characters, whatever you need to do. Like I would rather them put their resources in the things that are working for Overwatch than not, because I'm scared about the future of Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and they're adding a new battle mode called Clash, which they did a little trial period for this season, and I thought it was interesting. I didn't get to play it as much as I would like to, but I definitely like had fun with it. I didn't hate it. And yeah, I'm really scared about the future of Overwatch. Again, they've done some cool collaborations. Le Seraphim, like a K-pop group, I listen to K-pop, so like that was really really cool. I was a big fan of that. They just did Cowboy Bebop this season or last season, I forgot which. And those were really cool skins. I know that like a lot of people gave the Cassidy Spike Spiegel skin a lot of hate,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the skins a lot, and there are things that I really like that Overwatch is doing, but I just feel like it's not enough. It needs to. They need to uh, figure out how they're going to try and tell a story. They need to figure out some things in um, the general gameplay of the game right now. Like the tank role is in a really bad spot.
Mm.
They just did a rework on the tank role, like just from the in general, like not specific tank characters, um, and it's kind of been a mixed bag for some people, and it's just all kind of in a weird place. But I love Overwatch. Um, I I want this game to continue and be successful. Phil Spencer, if you're listening to this podcast, please don't kill Overwatch. Um,
Phil listens to the show too, so yeah.
I know. That's why I said it. Phil, please, my dog. Um, and and then one other thing that this is a small gripe. And then you can say your piece. So they added, and this is like a weird thing that Blizzard, like, this is just an example of like some of the weird stuff that Blizzard has done with Overwatch over time. They added a new like competitive skin, like a Jade skin, because you know they had the gold weapons and now they have the Jade weapons,
Mm-hmm.
and they added a different of the same currency that you get in competitive play
Yeah.
to get the Jade weapon, and then they have the legacy competitive points that you can use to get the gold weapon, but you can't mix them together. Like if you wanted to get the gold weapon for per se, right, you can't use the legacy credits that you have left plus whatever Jade weapon, whatever of the current competitive points that you would need to get to 3,000 to get a gold weapon. And so you have to get 3,000 of the new currency if you want to get an old gold weapon. Because I'm trying to get Reinhardt's gold hammer, because that's one of the few characters that I regularly use. I didn't get a gold weapon for yet.
Yeah.
And I have like 2,000 plus competitive points of the legacy, but I can't use like 900 of the new currency to get the gold. And so it's like, what am I supposed to do with these legacy credits that I don't have enough? Like, are they just gonna sit there forever? And like that's just a really weird thing that really frustrates me. And but yeah, I love Overwatch, warts and all. And I'm curious as to your thoughts as you've started to get back into it. You've kind of like hopped in and out, and so what is how does Overwatch been like looking through your POV?
Yeah, I mean it's been fun to just jump back in, and I think that part has been nice. It's been nice to be able to find people to come back and play with. So thank you for being one of the folks that I come back and play with often. I mean the things that I worry about are, did the game lose so much of its momentum, like you said, that there is this idea of maybe we need to scrap it. I think that alongside the basically like dismantling, of the Overwatch League, which I thought was a huge boon to not only the game itself, being looked at as a thing that's going to have some prominence, but that was a place where people learned the game. Like, you were watching the top level players play this game at a ridiculously high level, and that changed a lot of things within the game itself. That evolved the meta, that evolved how people played specific roles. It gave people ideas about why this game was really dope and fun, and it gave the studio the ability to showcase a lot of new features and a lot of new skins and a lot of new stuff in a way that just connected to the game instantly. It was an easy way for people who are big fans of Overwatch to be able to be like, oh, I have an understanding of what's happening here, and I'm getting a chance to see it in the biggest ways, which was super cool. You know, I at this point, this is my I know I will have fun for the most part game.
Yes.
Unless I run into, if I'm playing in pubs and people just don't know what the hell they're doing, like that's frustrating.
Yeah.
But I wonder too if this game has now kind of lost its prominence in a way where maybe either they have to go Overwatch 3 and revamp everything, or which would be difficult, or they punt it and say, okay, we gotta, you know, let that team do other stuff with a couple of other games that are already kind of in that mix. I think Marvel Rivals would definitely eat this game's lunch at this point because of the fact that they, like, you have an IP where you have all these characters that are really well done, really well designed, and potentially really, really fun. I haven't had a chance to play the beta, so I don't know. But the legacy of Overwatch still has juice in the tank. I just don't know if the lack of new features and the rejiggering of new stuff and those weird issues like you talked about of like currency problems and things like that. We're seeing that in multiverses too now, where, you know, they took out the old previous currency and made a lot of that stuff more grindy to be able to get some of those characters. You have to make getting into the universe as easy as possible. And if you set up barriers like this, it just makes it hard for everyone to continue to feel excited about playing. Like, I'm infinitely more excited about Concord than I am Overwatch. And that's not only just because it's new, it's because the through lines that are there between those two games, you can see something different in Concord that's like, they are going to be digging into story in a way that Overwatch never did. You know, and Overwatch had a really good space to do it, because when they were doing those montages, when a new character would come out, you got a lot of conversations around story in there in a way that made sense. Apex Legends is doing that the best out of everybody.
Yeah.
You instantly get a really deep story that you can connect around and do all that stuff. I do agree with you. Like, Overwatch would still be fun in an animated series or something that you would do, because you can have and flesh out a lot of those things with a cast of characters that people already know and have an understanding of who those personalities are in that mix, and to bring in that voice cast would be instant money for them. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Overwatch. I wonder where it's going to land. And yeah, I hope more folks will play it for as much as they can while it's still here, to potentially see it give some space for that thing to grow. So
yeah. I think that there's a you were kind of touching on something earlier where I just feel like that there's been a lot of discussion about you were talking about, like, oh, are they gonna just do Overwatch 3, or are they gonna do some, or like, how are they going to kind of approach this moving forward? And it's interesting that you say that, because, you know, one of the big changes to the actual PvP of Overwatch from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 was that they it went from a 6v6 to a 5v5.
Yeah.
They got rid of one of the tanks in the role. And as the game has progressed, because initially people were super upset about that.
Yep.
But as the game has progressed, that conversation has started to actually kind of gain some real traction, in the sense of, like, the tank role, because there's only one tank, has been kind of like just countering each other and not sticking to the character that you choose when you begin, right? So, like, if I'm playing as Ramatra and there's a diva, right? I'm gonna be like, or an Orisa, I'm gonna be like, okay, I gotta switch to Zarya, because that Zarya is the character that can counter that character. And then they see, like, oh, they're playing as Zarya, I'm gonna switch after like a few deaths, right? And they realize that like, oh, the counter's working. I'm gonna switch to this character that counters Zarya. And it just like kind of is like a back and forth that kind of just makes it not as fun as it used to be when there were two tanks, and it was kind of like you had a little bit more wiggle room in that sense on like who you could play. And so I'm curious if that is something that they are currently discussing of bringing back, because I could see it happen, I could see it not happen, but that I think like currently, just like in the current like immediate status, like the tank role is in a really weird place, and they need to find like a solution.
I mean, it's going to be hard, right? I think the thing that we're going to see is just how fast can they, I guess, how fast can they figure out what the missing pieces are, and can they really lean into, you know, what that means for the game moving forward. I look at the conversation that winds up happening, and you wind up getting into a space where it's just like the sunken cost at this point is high, right? Yeah. And the thing that Xbox needs to do and has been doing has been changing and rejiggering resources to bolster what they have from a studio perspective. And I totally wouldn't be surprised if we saw Overwatch go away and those teams go on to either a new project or whatever the stuff that's been worked on in the back end, just to be able to give as many hands on deck for that stuff so that they can start to recoup some money for the bigger ABK deal, because they're still bleeding money on this thing. So makes a lot of sense. Word, that was dope. As always, when you come on the show, Cam, you always bring an immense amount of knowledge and a lot of great conversation and great points. So if there are some things you want to share about any work you're doing that you can share, please do. And I'll give you the stage before we get up out of here.
I don't have anything right now outside of the general things I got going on. Follow me at Cam Final Mix on Twitter. I will have an announcement because our next episode will be sometime after we get back from SGF. So I should have an announcement by that time, but as of right now, I cannot say anything.
Reasonable. That man got secrets. He working on top secret
I have secrets.
He got top secret things. A thing that is not a secret is our merch. Go check out our merch on the dopest fourth wall page ever in the world. Go make sure you check out our gear over there on the Spawn on Me show. I mean, the Spawn on Me shop. We have our new Misled. If you've been following the scuttlebutt on the internet about some interesting things to make fun of, the Misled shirt, the Democracy shirt is there. We have also our Stellar Blade-esque shirt, the booty were you were misled shirt, some other goodness there in the mix for some of those things. And yeah, we have a lot of dope stuff coming to you all coming up at Summer Games Fest in a week. So we probably won't have a full show next week, but you will see stuff during the weekend going up. I'm going to be doing some solo, man on the street stuff. I'll just be rolling around with my small camera, capturing stuff and some thoughts about SGF. Cam and I will be doing some interviews and stuff and some coverage of like what we saw during Summer Games Fest, and you'll see a lot of that coverage come out early next week. So make sure you're checking that stuff out. NBA Finals are going to be coming up soon. I'm going to be restarting the Chicago Sports Network. That's new information. And we're going to be doing that not on Twitch. We're going to be doing that on Restream, but we're going to be doing most of that work on Watch Playback. So we're going to be doing I'm going to be doing sports content again. I miss doing it. So we'll probably be covering the finals. It'll probably be the Mavericks versus the Celtics. So make sure you're checking out and following us there on Watch Playback. I'll be sharing out links for all that stuff. We're just getting the branding together really quickly and making some fun stuff there. But yeah, you can hang out and watch. Literally, you can sit in a room and hang out with me and watch the NBA Finals together, and we can go hang out and watch the show.
Pouring out for the Knicks.
Pour one out for the Knicks. Yeah, we have.
I was rooting for y'all.
Thank
I was
you.
rooting for y'all.
And we needed it. We were in the triage room all day, every day, getting beat up and all that stuff. So next season will be a banger for sure, and we'll definitely be doing Knicks streams once the season starts, and maybe doing some Jets stream stuff too, because I'm a big Jets fan. So we may be seeing some Jets coverage on Watch Playback too. So more information about the sports stuff on Twitter. So follow me at Khalif Adams. Where can they follow you, Cam, on the socials?
At Cam Final Mix.
Dope. And we, we'll have some other stuff to talk about very, very soon in terms of all of those things. But until then, much love to everybody in Chicago. Thank you for watching on Twitch, on YouTube, on X. Thank you for everybody for watching the show. Thank you so much for being a part of our Chicago family. And until then, we'll see you at Summer Games Fest next week. A lot of dope coverage coming from us and the rest of the folks here at Spawn on Me. So everybody have a fantastic weekend. Much love to you all. We'll see you soon. And peace. Deuces. All right, Cam, I'll see you soon, fam. I'll bug you soon. I'll bug you in a bit. Cool?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, fam.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll catch you in a bit.
All right,
Everybody at home,
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Stream
I thought we were.
going.
Yeah, stream's still going. You're good. You're
Don't
good.
say yet. Don't say yet. Stream, we're gonna get up out of here. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you, everybody. Please share the stream. Please give us some love, getting everything together for next week. It's gonna be a lot of hard work. So thank you, everybody, for that. Much love to you all. Peace. Stream going down.